Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lights Out League Racing Season 29 and Race 6. We're almost halfway through the season, and it's been shaping up absolutely simply lovely. And we find ourselves in the middle of Europe, in the boot-shaped country. It's not a sandal shape, otherwise it won't fit all the shit in it. We are at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, just outside Milan, the Temple of Speed, as it's known. And what better way to christen the season with a sprint format. So we've got one-shot quali, followed by a sprint race, which is about 9 laps, followed by one-shot quali again for the race, which is a 50%. And we've got 19 drivers on the grid. I've been absolutely... The one big thing about this season, which has been absolutely fantastic, has been the turnout. Every single week we've had almost a full grid, in both divisions as well. But first this week we get underway with Div 1. And we're just waiting a second while drivers just sort out their setups ready for quali and whatever the race may be for the sprint. I have a feeling... it's going to be a spicy one, especially that run down to turns 1 and 2. A second, I'm just got to reply to somebody. I can't multitask. I'm a man. But I am prepared. I have my neck lube. It's going to be a busy night. Sprint format in both divisions. And it's been hotting up, as I said, in the championships, as Amadi leads the way with 157 points, with Callum 5 points behind. There's a bit of a gap for the chasing pack, but they are closing in. And days like today, when we've got one-shot quali, adds in a level of potential disappointment for some that won't keep it on the track. Apparently, there's going to be rain. It's gonna rain. And it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I swear, I didn't mean it. But it adds an element of jeopardy that you don't get with a dry race. Good evening, Benja. Nice to have you watching. Looking for some tips for your race following this. I'm excited as well. I cannot wait. I love a good sprint format and the unknown elements. You've got all these front runners that it's very easy for them to validate on their hot lap. And it just shakes up the order a little bit. Well, yeah, you always get them throughout the season, and Bahrain was probably your one. I'm sure you feel quite comfortable with Monza, and if you get past the first couple of corners without any potential incident, then you'll be in for a good one, I reckon. So, and with it being a sprint, there's extra points on offer. Yeah, long enough, Cal. Let's get going, mate. Fingers crossed, Guna. But I can't promise. It's all random. And what we're going to do here is jump on with a hot lap. And let's have a look. So we'll jump on and watch it with Adamako, who's currently at the lead, and see how he gets on in the Visa RB as he goes down the start-finish straight, 1.1 kilometre long straight, with a sharp braking zone around to turn 1 of the Rettifio chicane. And there's going to be very congested on both the sprint and race starts. Coming out at currently P12 as Theo is leading the way as we go around the Curva Grande, where you can overtake with a little bit of ERS as well. As we approach the end of Sector 1 to the Regia chicane, where you want to ride the inside curbs, get a good traction out on the exit as we approach the very fast right-handers of the Double Lesmos. And it's very easy to run wide and invalidate and go into the close gravel traps. Ride the curb out of the second Lesmo, open up that DRS, and there's going to be some overtaking opportunities as we go down under the bridge, climb back up to the Ascari chicane, where we will see quite a few drivers invalidate. I'm pretty sure Adam navigates out well, and he's got himself up to P7 for now as Callum and luckiest and Dan Morris up near the top as we go round to the final corner of Parabolica, where you want to go and hug the inside, go back out. You want to go back on the inside to minimise the distance of the track. Crosses the line, and Callum takes pole in 18.1. Luckiest P2 is his best qualifying of the season. And you can see at the bottom there's one or two that have qualified, but good qualifying there from Adam, P6. I think he'd be quite chuffed with that, with one or two drivers around him. So Callum, another pole to his name, good 3/10 on his nearest rival, with Luckiest joining him on the front row. Portuguese and Brutus on row 2. Big Raki up to P5, the best of the elites pole position for him. Adamako P6 as we saw. Dan Morris P7, I think he'll be chuffed with Benji reserving for Div 2. Legend on his debut of the season, P9. Jax Daniels finishing out the top 10. Capsock and Cats on row 6 with Ted Head and Clem behind. Clen, Michael, Linazukan, D, Theo and Chief of Fire all disqualifying from the race. As I said, the likes of Amadi and Theo, big hitters, invalidating a lap, which puts them... And it's sunshine for the sprint, as drivers will just be sorting out their strategies. Katamise is rooting on Cats, and Ted Head says that was awful. It is tricky, and you don't have the fallback of a short qualifying or full qualifying where you can have multiple runs. It is a one-hit wonder. Never going to give you up, never going to let you down. Never gonna turn around and desert you. Ben just cheering on the Ferraris. Portuguese in a prime position. Clen, I think he was P11, P12, as we will be doing a formation lap. It's a low downforce circuit to maximise the straight line speeds, but you've got to be very precise on your lap, and I have a feeling those on the mediums are going to struggle. I think it's going to be a hard tyre race, and as you can see, Callum, Portuguese, Adam, Benji, Jax, Ted Head and Clen all going for the hards, so the rest have got to manage their tyres as best as possible. Callum leads us round. Out of the 19 drivers, round turn 3, the Curva Grande. It's a purpose-built track constructed just in 110 days in 1922, and the third out of the third purpose-built after Brooklands and Indianapolis. It's now a fan favourite and a driver's favourite just for the pure speed element, and it's pure speed going round 5.8 kilometres clockwise circuit, 11 corners, as I said, 7 to the right and 4 to the left, with 2 DRS zones. As we come round the second one now, it's approaching the Ascari chicane. There's a 50% chance of a safety car, 38% chance of a VSC, and Amazon did tell us that if you're on a medium, it might be a 2-stop, but they're going to have to try and go to the end, so those on the hards are going to be in a prime position. It is a sprint 9-lapper, where there are a handful of points, not the full amount like you would get on a feature race. Just the top 10 for the lights out full division, and then the top 8 for your championship, as Callum gets into his slot. Luckiest joins him on the front row with Portuguese and Brutus on row 2. Raki and Adamako just behind with Dan Morris, both Aston Martins side by side. Benji Boy filling in for Davy Kim. Legend, he is a legend, joining us for the first time this season in P9 with Jax Daniels alongside him. Capstock and Cats on row 6 with Ted Head and Clen in 13th and 14th respectively. Michael, a bit disappointing I think for him. Linazukan, Amadi and Theo will be basically trying to do a last to first, and Chief of Fire starting from the rear. Callum is waiting for those lights to start triggering. Like the rest of us, my arsehole is twitching. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's amore, and it's lights out and away we go. And it looks like it's a good launch off the line from the front too. Those on the mediums will have the advantage off the line, and Lucas has got himself into the lead of the race. Jack Daniels gained 2 positions already as we approach. As evaded by the McLaren of Jax. He's got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting as well. But it looks like everyone's actually made him through. A little bit of wheel banging, but no tears, as we expect from the... Oh, and we've lost Ted Head. I think that was Ted Head who's just smashed into the wall. Or is it Michael? No, Michael's behind. So I saw someone actually clatter the wall. But Luckiest has got himself into the lead of the race. Good start from Cats. So we've got a yellow flag behind. It's the Red Bull of Chief of Fire on the coming out the turns 4 and 5. Sorry, of the Regia. As we'll get back on, and as everyone starts settling within the first lap, DRS won't be active until the next race. But Luckiest has got the launch, and I think he's expecting to try and stay ahead. But will his tyres wear off around lap 6 or so? Callum just waiting with the 10, but everyone within. DRS, Amity already up to P14, Theo up to P12, so those two having a good start. Amity chasing down Jax, who's going to have that 10-second penalty and won't be expecting a pit stop. Good break from the front three, who are just looking to get ahead, as we see Caps Lock on the inside of turn 1 on Legends. Brilliant overtake from the Sauber. 1 or 2 drivers just struggling with traction coming out of turn 2. Up to P10 for Caps Lock. Adamako prowling. Dan Morris has a quick look on the inside. The start of the chicane. Not quite able to make the move as yet. Brutus is slightly detached from the front 4. Needs that DRS. Coming out the second Lesmo. Otherwise they're going to pull away. And Big Racky, he's put in, I believe he's put probably about 550 laps in this week. Practice for this race. So he's expected to do well. No pressure, but he's expected to do well. And he currently he's running P4 and P1 in the Elite. And he's in for a big challenge with Jax Daniels and Michael for the Elite. Good evening, Lennon. Getting some quick tips, and oh no, Luckiest has left us. Oh no, that's not what you want. Especially when you're leading the way. Getting back in. And speed in pit lane, Clen, Italian hand gesture. We are in Italy. He's retired from the sprint. Just don't leave the session, Clen. As Luckiest is dropping down the order now. And that's unfortunate, disconnecting for the Frenchman. Doing so well, and I think he'd be so chuffed. He's had a really poor season in retrospect to his driving ability. Adam still sticking there with Dan Morris. And Luckiest is back in his car, so hopefully he can try and get himself back up the order. As the front 3 have pulled away. Now Callum leads the way in the sprint with Portuguese and Big Racky. As Dan Morris overtaking Lucky's car. Lucky isn't quite back in his car as Adam goes through as well. And looks like he's back in. No, still ghosted. He's Patrick Swayze. Adam Morris is basically Dan Morris's shadow here. As Lucky says, back in now. Hopefully stays in for the rest of the race. As Callum takes provisional fastest lap. Brutus has got himself a bit of breathing space from Dan Morris as he's defending. But Adam should be able to make this move now on the inside of turn 1. And with the aid of VRS as well. Locks up but managed to make the move stick. Dan has to follow him round. As we see Legend losing a couple of places to Theo and Amadi. This DRS train. Choo-choo! As Luckiest trying to claw back some places on the outside of the Regia with Dan Morris side by side through the chicane. Brilliant driving from those pair. Now that's not an easy place to overtake, and you see many times that both drivers end up in the wall. But credit to both the Alpine and Aston Martin driver. Dan Morris has a slower launch out of the chicane, so a bit of breathing space for Luckiest up to P6 now. And we'll be stalking Adam. Big Racky's detached from the front too, so this could be a good omen here for Portuguese to be able to try and get past Callum, as Callum will be under threat from the DRS down the start finish. Michael's ended up at the back with his damage. I think he's had a pit stop, so we're just looking to finish the race. We'll get some points for the elite, so points means prizes at the end of the day, so everyone needs to finish. Let's just come with Theo, just trying to stay with as Katz has a quick look at Dan Morris. We'll jump back down to Jax Daniels, side by side with Legend on the inside, coming out of turn 2. That's a great overtake from Jax as Amadi side by side with Theo around the Curva Grande, and Amadi's got himself ahead. And he's going to try and do a double move with Caps Lock. Caps Lock's defending the inside. Oh, locks up. Ends up clattering Amadi, and they lose lock wheels, like I said with Dan and Caps Lock was it before. It tends to happen. Caps Lock's losing a few places. It's a very tricky one, and Amadi's dropped down behind Legend now. And it's what happens when you're trying to push your way through the field. You're making more overtakes. There's more chances that you're going to get caught up in incidents like that. Jax Daniels up to P10 after his initial incident on turn 1. He does have a penalty though, so he's going to try and do damage limitation ahead of Theo in the Mercedes. Jump down and check on Ted Head and Chief of Fire. Ted Head's in the pits and just retiring from the session. You'll have to stay in though, don't come out because you've got a race to go. I don't want to re-invite you because I can't, not when it starts. So Portuguese just clinging on to Callum. Driver's doing very well, staying on track. Ted Head's in for a shout for a good championship position, currently running P3. Ted Head says he's got damage. Doesn't help. Should just say you had another 3 laps to go. You still would have got some points, mate. Just try and persevere, especially with it only being 9 laps with a sprint. Yeah, it's a tricky one though, isn't it? Hard braking zone. Are we seeing DRS games here, or are we? Is Callum just got too much pace, staying ahead? Portuguese Drivers' Championship champion from season 23. Knows how to challenge for the race win. On lap 7 out of 9. And Adams caught up to Brutus as we see Benji overtaking Katz in the Aston. And Jax retaking the position on Theo. It's Benji and Katz side by side. Katz looks like he's got better launch. Coming out of turn 2, the side by side going on the Curva Grande. Can he retake the position? Looks like Benji's just got his nose ahead. As we see Legend switch places with his teammate, reserving for AJ this week. As Benji's gone off track, got himself track limits. Legend himself is a season 21 champion and is just revisiting the game after a big break. And it's good to see the Legend himself back on the grid, as we'll go back up to P4 and see Brutus. He'll be quite happy with where he is so far. Dan Morris getting off 3 seconds. It's don't want that, Dan. Get yourself a gap to the cars behind. Adam and Luckiest just following Brutus down as Jax down is now getting past Katz. Down towards the Parabolica. Jax will be under threat from DRS. He is following Benji though as well. And that's what's happened to Amadi and Theo. Oh no, they've both collided. Getting to the Parabolica. I think they've locked wheels. As Theo goes in the pits. It's not been the race for those two, but it's hopefully their feature race will end up better. Callum still leads the way around as Theo, going on the soft tyres, missed the fastest lap. He's going for that point. Linezuken filling in for a picnic. Good to see him on track. Down as a reserve for a Div 2, but he's got some brill pace. So he's bumped up to reserve Div 1, and he's currently P12. Doing very, very well. Jack's now putting pressure on Benji and makes the move around the Ascari. Oh, and did Jax lose his traction, and that's getting clipped. The absolute bants. And yeah, it's this hasn't been his sprint. He's going to get that in the chat. We'll jump back on with luckiest. Adamako's up to P4 ahead of Brutus now, and Brutus trying to fight back. As Adam side by side here with the Williams of Big Raki. Slight collision as Raki does ghost, but Adam gets himself ahead. Good wheel-to-wheel racing, and Adam gains some places on the final lap. Will Portuguese do the same as they're going round the Lesbos for the final time in the sprint? It looks like a good gap here for Callum, almost a second. I don't think Portuguese is going to make that up unless he's saved loads of ERS. As they come up to the Ascari, I don't think anyone's close enough to make a move as yet. And Big Raki following Adam. He's had a fantastic race or sprint. Big Raki, and can he follow that into the race? His hard work's paid off, but paid off for Callum. He's stuck with his sprint. It's unfortunate that Luckiest lagged out, but Callum takes the sprint win. Portuguese takes P2. Adam comes round the Parabolica and will take P3. P1 for Big Raki in the elite. Unfortunate for Luckiest lagging out, but hopefully he stays within the race and does it again. Brutus P6, Dan Morris P7, does have that penalty, but stays ahead of Legend. Goes P8, B9 for Katz, and Benji P10. Linezuken P11, he'll be happy with that. Catstock 12, Chief of Fire 13th for Jax Daniels with his manic penalty and manic spin. P14, he'll get jumped by Amadi. Theo, is he going to get that fastest lap on those soft tyres? Surely he will. Crosses the line. He does with a 19.7, so that extra point for Theo. And Michael, the final finisher. Very interesting sprint. So Callum takes, let's go that one, there we go. Callum takes P1, Portuguese. I'm just going to scroll through as Legend goes up to P8 from P9 and Katz to P9. Because it's time is ticking down and I don't want to get caught out. And I need my standings. Ted Head, Clen, both ENF, and Theo getting the fastest up with a 19.7. But your top three for your sprint is Callum, Portuguese, and Adam. Adam says Raki's lagging like a fish. I've never heard that saying before, but it's funny. And as you can see, there's some moisture in the air for qualifying. Will that follow through to the race? It looks like D hit the back of Clen as he broke too early. Chelsea 1-0 for those that are interested in the Carabao Cup, where all the kids are playing. I'm going to take a quick slurp. So after that little amuse boost, Man City losing, Swansea 1-0. After the little taster, who do you reckon's going to nab the race P1? I can taste it. Will Callum get himself back on top again? Will Theo or D be able to nail the lap? Who's going to manage these tricky conditions? I do not know. I'm going to go for the luckiest. I want luckiest to bounce back from his sprint, and I'm going to go luckiest to go for his get pole. So we're just giving it a couple of minutes while drivers just sort out their strategies for the race. It's different conditions in the wet. You're not going to be on the throttle as much. You don't want the wing. You don't want the wings as low as you normally do. You're still going to have them quite low though, because you've got to maximise the straight lines. Maybe just knock up your front wings a couple of notches. As the time is ticking now. Those that are in the chat, or those that are watching, like the video and put a comment. Apparently I've got to keep saying that because it just increases something. I don't know. I'm a dinosaur. As we go back on. Oh, don't want that. And let's have a look then. Let's jump on luckiest and do a hot lap with the Alpine driver. Justice for luckiest as he goes down the start finish straight. Again, different tyre combos. Everyone's on the inters as he approaches turn 1. You brake slightly earlier, managed to turn in. Good exit, but still running P11. Ted Head leading the way. Currently has just jumped by Callum Amadi and Adamako near the front. Luckiest works his way up, going around the curve. A grande of turn 3, where we saw some brilliant overtakes and later braking. Theo leading the way now as he hit turns 4 and 5 chicane. Ride the curve slightly, not too much, otherwise you're going to fly like you're on Fast and Furious. Round first Lesmo, Michael's invalidated. Wah, wah, wah. Second Lesmo, again ride the inside curb, don't want to go too wide, or you're going to validate, which luckiest, fortunate not to. Currently running P5. Ted Head still leading the way for the elite drivers. This will be an absolute steal if Ted Head gets pole round the Ascari. Oh, a little drift round from Luckiest, managed to keep his car under control. But running P3, Ted Head still running P1 with Legend P2. Ted Head's absolutely pushing it with the man, the myth, the legend in P2. Round this parabolic and final corner, hug the right hand side to minimise the distance. He's taken too much, but Amadi takes pole with Legend P2. Ted Head P3. Wow, wow, wow. Big Raki invalidates. It looks like Theo's not happy either. And my dog is, though. He's eaten a bone, and now he wants to lie down. So Amadi takes pole, managed to nail his lap. 55 hundredths ahead of Legend, who joins him on the front row. Ted Head, brilliant from the elite driver P3, Luckiest P4, Callum only P5, Adamako P6, same as last race. Benji P7, brilliant for the Div 2, Cat P8, he'll be happy. Linzuken, Portuguese P10, ooh, Jax Daniels P11, Clen, Capstock and Chief of Fire P14, Invalidations, Brutus, Theo, Michael, Dan and Raki. Now this throws spanner in the works, but what a lap there from Ted Head in the wet. And it looks like slightly damp. Will it rain in the race, or was it just for quali? The track looks greasy. It's normally greasy in Italy. It's greasier than a fish shop round the corner. Now we reckon if it is a dry, that it's potentially a one stop is possible, but you've got to nurse your tyres, medium to hards. But I have a feeling that we may see a safety car So we're going to see at least two mediums and two medium and two hards. The hards were the better tyre in the sprint, and it depended how many sets drivers have got. Everyone was cheering on Ted Head, and we like it when out of the box positions occur, non-expected, and there's one or two drivers that have got a bit of work to put in. Callum from P5, he hasn't had it all his own way. Portuguese P10. Theo starting from the rear. Jakobsen cheering on for Katz. Ridderen. Riddle me this. Who are you? Who are you? The drivers will be sorting out their fuel loads, their tyre strategies, just doing some tweaks on their setups. Geezer's rooting on Raki to do her last to podium. It's possible. And as we've seen, especially the last couple of races, we have seen one or two incidents, especially in the Div 2 race, where a safety car comes out to your advantage. It does help. Mix up the order a little bit. How will this go? How will this go? Lennon cheering on NSR legend. Who's my front three for today then? I reckon... yeah, I'm going to go for Legend on his season debut. I'm going to go DP2, and then I'm going to go Adam for P3. As the clock is ticking down to get this race underway. And we'll get lent round this time from Amadi. And everyone is starting. Oh! So Katz, Brutus, and Michael all going on the alternate strategy. Guna's cheering for Benji. I think it might just be a step too far. But he's doing well in P7. But if he does win the race, then yeah, he's definitely in the wrong division. But he's not leading the way in Div 2 at the moment. So Amazon does say hards is the tyre to start on, but everyone's choosing to start on the mediums apart from those three. So interesting strategy calls there. Everyone essentially saw how good the launch off the line was for those on the mediums for the start of the race. So let's reiterate then, 5.8 kilometre circuit clockwise, of course, 11 corners, 7 to the right and 4 to the left, and 2 DRS zones, which should be active in these conditions. It's a 50% chance of a safety car, which there's a high chance we'll see. We saw 1 or 2 drivers go off the circuit. It's saying it is a 2-stopper. Those that can do it on a 1 might benefit. It's a 24.3 second pit stop, so can lose quite a bit of time, but I think it works out reasonably equal. I think for me, I'll do a 2-stop to try and just be as quick as possible. Amadi getting himself into the grid box with Legend joining him on the front row. Ted Head and Luckiest just behind them, with Callum P5 and Adam Amako alongside him. He'll try and get ahead of Callum as quick as possible. Benji P7, Katz alongside of him. Linazukan, he'll be happy with P9, but he's got Portuguese under threat. P10. Jax Daniels P11, Clen P12. Can Jax have a better race than his sprint? Capstock P13, Chief of 5 14th. Brutus, Theo, Michael, Damaris and Big Raki at the rear. We'll try and get an instant free start. Amadi has a 472 metre run down from pole to turn 1 braking point. As we wait for the lights to start ticking. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, It's like Mama used to make it. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a good launch from Amadi. Ted Head already getting past. Not a great launch from Legend. Little bit of wheel banging. But Ted Head now got up to P2. Can everyone make it around? The Haas goes off wide of Cats. And there's one or two drivers in the gravel as well. It looks like Adam and Benji and Legend. Cats has got down to P15, which has mixed up the order a bit. So Amadi leads the way. Big jump from Portuguese as well, up 5 positions. Jax, Capsock and Theo and Michael, all big gainers. As who's Dan Morris further down. Just losing positions. Has he got damage? Emotional damage? He's got all his wings, so I don't think so. It's just a poor start from the Aston. Adamako doesn't have damage, but I think he's spun. I think it's just head down for him. As Legend ahead of Clen. As we see Luckiest getting himself up to P2. So you see Amadi's already broke free from the pack immediately. DRS won't be active until the lap 2. A brilliant start here from Ted Head. I want to be rooting for him to try to get a podium as he's trying to make an advance on Luckiest. Luckiest the sandwich as Ted Head gets ahead of Luckiest, as well as Callum is on the inside of turn 1, side by side with Ted Head, who's have the inside of turn 2. Brilliant driving from Ted Head with Callum. Catslock up to P7 ahead of Theo, as we see Benji and Clem fighting position for P17. Luckiest, and it's a cluster of cars at turns 4 and 5 as the McLaren of Callum gets spun round, and this is where the order gets mixed up on some of these tight corners. Managed to rewrite himself behind Legend. That may be a potential one for the stewards, that one. Amadi's going south, a 3.7 second gap. And Ted Head still running P2. Theo making gains on Capsock, if not off the circuit. Lets Capsock go back through. As we see Portuguese. Wiley Fox on the outside makes the Parabolica. And look at that from Luckiest. Oh, did he clip Ted Head though? Making the overtake. Ted Head loses position to Jax Daniels, who's found himself up to P4 now. DRS gets past Luckiest as well. You can see all the drivers just switching positions with the aid of DRS. Luckiest side by side with Jax. Jax still ahead and stays to P3. Brutus and Capsock side by side as they're all congested. As we see Theo in the gravel. He's collided with cars. He's not really been a fan of Monza. And he finds himself at the rear with Ted Head as well. Not Ted Head. So I don't know what's going on with Theo. He's just lost all traction in his tyres. Just needs to calm himself down. His tyres will be screaming. And it's not a great start for the Visa RB boys. Adams pulled himself back up to the train. As Lucky is back up ahead into P3. Theo just can't keep his car on the track at the moment. As we see Brutus. Whoa, Jack's not having a good time through the Ascari and has lost quite a few positions as we see Raki and Michael go through. Capsock now up to P5 with his teammate just behind him. Brutus getting up to P4 now. I think that's the end of Theo's race. He might as well be a barber, the amount of corners he's cutting. Jax Daniels in a battle here with Michael. Where's Michael? Michael just taking a look at his teammate on the inside. Michael, what are you doing? Not on your teammate, my mate. As Linazukan capitalises. Locks wheels with Michael. And that's Michael losing positions. Has he got damage? And Talon Chester. Adamaka carving his way through his Legend. One or two drivers just lost their way down the order. Adamaka making moves on Linazukan as well. Gained 2 places now up to P14. Big Raki now from the back of the grid has found himself up to P5. What happened, Theo? It didn't look like it went too well. As Chief of Fire, another one that's been caught out and has damaged his wing going around the Lesmos. And won't be surprised if we see him pit and get onto some fresh tyres and a fresh wing as Ted Head tries to rewrite himself. He looks like he's got a damaged wheel. No worries, mate. Maybe in the chat later. No, I don't think it's that bad. It's only a game, remember. Portuguese just slightly closing the gap now on Amadi, down to 3.4 seconds. As we see Jax exchanging places with Caps Lock, who's dead defending the inside of turn 1. Oh, just slightly outbrakes himself. As we see Legend just get bumped off. Well, don't overthink it. It's a game, like I said. Callum making a move on Cats. And for the Regia chicane, Callum back up to P7. Brutus, you'd like to say, doing very well here on the hard tyres. And currently running P4 in the DRS of Luckiest, pulling Big Raki along. 2.8 seconds the gap between the front two. Well, chin up, mates. This guy's always here for a chat, you know. I wouldn't overthink it, it's just a game, mate. Michael, just over a tenth behind Lindazuka, right in his gearbox, following round like his shadow, taking a look at the Parabolica, but we'll wait for the DRS. Callum. Should be a rudimentary overtake here on Catstock as Brutus getting past Luckiest at the chicane. Lucky's trying to do a switchback, but slots into the slipstream of Brutus. And Callum has made that stick and is the lead of the train now, all the way down to Michael. Adamako behind Dan Morris again, like he was in the sprint. These two find each other on track again. And Cats on an alternate strategy, sticking with some of the front boys on those hard tyres. As Adamako does make the move on Dan Morris round the first Lesmo. Brilliant overtake there from the Visa RB driver. Dan Morris with his teammate for today just behind. Jack Daniels found himself down in P12 again. Just action every single lap. We're only on lap 6 out of 27. And I can't breathe. What we are seeing is Portuguese pushing hard and closing the gap on Amadi. Now under 2 seconds, and the Portuguese beast is absolutely flying. Evil Knievel, don't put him near a canyon. He'll make it. Chief of Fire, Red Bull driver just splitting the grid at the moment. As we see Ted Head and Clen both in the pits and doing an early pit stop then. Getting out of the way as we see Benji on the chicane overtaking Jax Daniels. And Cats making the move on Caps Lock as well. Cats now up to P7. Meow, meow, motherfucker. Doing well for Team Haas here, both P3 and P7 for now. Brutus still leading the way in P3, pulling Luckiest along. And Big Raki. Glenn and Ted Head both going on to the hards then. It will be a 2-stop for them. There's no way they can do 20 laps on the hards. 1.2 seconds now. Now is this pure pace from Portuguese? Or is Amadi just nursing his tyres? A bit of strategy in play. Only D will know as he starts lap 8. Now how Div 1 is lying as Legend. Oh, and we've watched him doing it again. Jax Daniel loses traction around the Parabolica this time. And then it's another, we could do a whole clip up for Jax losing his traction. and is down now to P14 as Dan Morris dives in the pits, get off his medium tyres as Capstock retakes P7. Good battle here between the Sauber and the Haas driver. Adam Mako's dropped the cars behind, just watching these two just to see if they have a slight loss of traction, a slight wheel to wheel where he can pounce and capitalise. He's closed that gap and is pushing these two around the Lesmos. Some good pace here from Adam, and putting himself back in a decent position for some great points and even a podium if he keeps his head down. Cat's having a look before the Ascari has a look on the outside. Capstock defends the inside and a little bit of touch of wheels, and that forces Capstock to spin. I don't think he'll be too happy for that. And Caps up to P7. Adam Mako following him round. Brutus gets ahead of Luckiest. Luckiest first of the front runners to pit, and not going to speed in the pit lane. He's got his limiter on. Good lad. Big Raki dispatched from the front three then, so a bit of breathing space from Brutus as we see Capstock pitting now. Damage limitation from the Sauber driver and Linazukan as well. We're going to switch the tyres. Will we see them go onto the hards? Luckiest does. Linazukan does. Portuguese in DRS as Adamako does get past Cats. Round the curve of Grande. Brilliant overtake from Adamako. He's pushing like crazy and does not want to get caught in the DRS train behind, with the likes of Legend and Michael closing in. Portuguese here within DRS, as I said, in a battle for the win of this race. And has been pushing hard, and like I said, is this strategy by Amadi, or is this just pure race pace from Portuguese? Cats retaking position on Adamako down to the Parabolica. So great launch out of the Ascari from the Haas driver, but he'll put him under threat from Adamako. Ridder's cheering on Cats. I think he'll be a sitting duck here from Adamako with DRS. Can't really fight that, as Adamako flicks a shit in the litter tray into Cats, who tries to do a switchback on the inside of turn one, but has to settle. Wasn't close enough to try and retake the position. Good idea though from Cats. Adamako back up to P6 now. Chief of Fire in the pits. Getting a change of tyres onto the hards for the Red Bull. Luckiest the net leader after the pit stops. How will that fare for him? Will it be it'll be interesting to see how this works for an undercut on the drivers around him. He's battling Brutus. Potentially could gain a couple of seconds on the front two, which will put him back into contention. Yeah, so how it stands in Div 1, Amadi is leading the way. Our championship holder is leading the way, but only by 5 points on Callum, who's running P5. Just clawing his way back up the order and closing the gap on Big Raki. In the elite, Jax is leading the way. He's got 11 points on Big Raki in P2. Is Callum pitting, potentially going to get undercut by Luckiest. We'll see how that unfolds. Will Callum try and do the one stop, or is he going to attempt a two stop? As Luckiest is flying. Legend in, Jax Daniels in as well, as Michael and Adam side by side. Michael trying to do a switchback, but it was right on the curb. Adam would have better traction off the corner. Katz has got himself back ahead, as Luckiest does go on through, and Callum comes out ahead of Dan Morris, but a good 8 seconds behind Luckiest. Luckiest setting that provisional fastest lap, shows the pace that he's got. Jax has to come out behind Capstock. Katz has got himself back ahead of this battle between Adam and Michael, Benji just on the fringes, just ticking along nicely. Oh, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? It's Raki! He's lost traction coming out of the Scary chicane. And he needs to just get his head back together, get himself back on track. Oh, he'll be absolutely fuming. As Amadee and Portuguese both into the pits and puts Brutus into the lead of the race. As Raki's now back on track. As Dan Morris goes on through. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Raki pit now. As Luckiest is going down. Portuguese and Amadee out. Portuguese has jumped Amadee in the pits, but Luckiest has jumped both of them. Has pit early. I think Big Raki's lost traction around the Parabolica as well. Oh, he's not happy. Adamako in the pits, Benji in the pits as well. Both trying to do the jump on Cats. Both Hasses in the lead of this race now. And Michael, the only one up to pit. Big Raki in the pits. He'll be hoping for a safety car potentially. It won't help him anyway. But we'll change his tyres. So Luckiest into the net lead of the race. He's got Portuguese and Amadee behind. Both on 3 lap fresher tyres. Will they do the one stop? As Michael gets himself onto the penalties board. Big Raki potentially looking at doing a one stop as well, which could bring him back into contention. He'll be livid. So how this stands then for those that have pit. Luckiest leads the way. As we see Michael pitting, Brutus is pitting onto the mediums. Cats has taken the lead of the race. Meow, meow, motherfucker! Look, Amadee and Portuguese both making moves on Luckiest with that DRS. But this is a battle for the front 3 as Michael coming out down the pits. Glenn has gone through. Legend going through on Linazukan. Oh, sorry, vice versa. Linazukan on Legend. As Adam side by side with Caps Lock. Left plenty of room. Caps Lock has got the outside and the better traction. As we go around the curve of Grande, Adamako jumps into his slipstream. But slipstream is not that effective on this game, leaving each other plenty of room. But it looks like Caps Lock should have the chicane. Brilliant driving from Adam and Caps Lock. As Portuguese getting past Cats before the Ascari, afford himself a bit of breather space between Amadee and Luckiest. So this is pure pace from Portuguese. Whether it's tyre saving or not from Amadee, they both pit at the same time. And Portuguese has got himself some space as Adamako with DRS got himself up to P11. And Cats is now pitting. It's one stop, I think, here from both Haas drivers. As Cats is in the pits now. Brutus is on the mediums ahead of Callum, only by a couple of seconds, as Dan Morris goes through. So as it stands, Dan Morris is leading the way in the Elite Championship. It's just, does he need to pit again? We shall see. Glenn running P2 and Michael actually running P3. Well, he's got Cats breathing down his neck. At least buy him dinner first, Cats. Unfortunately for Big Raki, just lost traction coming out of the Ascari. He's doing so well, he's pitting again. Is he going to be going on to the mediums? As Portuguese got himself a good second and a half ahead of Amadee and Luckiest. But Brutus doing so well here, only 4.8 seconds behind on the mediums. It'll be struggle to catch though with these two having DRS. Trying to minimise that gap. Two reserves filling in for us. Legend and Linzuken with each other on track. Doing well for their full-time drivers. Legend giving a little bit of wiggle to Linazukan. Hello! As Linazukan goes on through up to P8. Adamako going through on Capstock as well. These two having a great battle on track. Michael, though, closing in. Capstock under threat as we see Katz dive on the inside of turn 1. I think he missed his braking zone. That wasn't a great move from the Haas driver, from my POV. And end up clattering a couple and letting the drivers through. I think he knew that. He motherfuckered his way through. Battle here for Jax, who's gained a few positions now. It's P11. Ahead of Michael. I'll say ahead, they're side by side. Going around the Lesmos, that's not where you want to do that. And Michael's actually got himself ahead of Jax. Brilliant move from the Sauber. Benji boy just watching, waiting, anticipating. For those, I know that's not the lyrics. I'm doing it for the bants. Adam, only 2 seconds now behind the battle ahead as Linazukan. Klein goes wide round the Parabolica. Managed to keep his car going though. Very easy to lose traction as these two switching places again. Now up to P7 for the man, the myth, the legend. Danmar is quite comfortable here in P6 as Jackson Michael exchanging positions again. Ted Head in the pits, going on some fresh tyres to doing the 2-stop. A little loss of traction from Michael, which will open the door for Benji. Not close enough to make a move on the drivers ahead, so gaps have formed. Portuguese is flying, almost 2 seconds ahead as Capstock side by side. Katz on the inside, the first Lesmo, brilliant overtake on Benji. He's probably just not battling too hard to impact the division as he's reserving, but it's a good overtake from Katz nonetheless. Very brave from the feline. Purred his way through, and we'll be looking to try and make him stride on the 2 Saubers ahead. Jax Daniels leading the train as such, with the 2 green flashes behind as Adam overtaking Klen. Klen losing traction again on the Parabolica and is going in the pit, so Italian hand gesture for Klen. Hey, spicy meatball, what you doing? That's not what you want to do. Those silly mistakes. Adam Akin out to P9 and is chasing the battle here between the 2 reserves. Legend currently with the bragging rights. Will they hold up Adamako too much? We shall see. So yeah, 2-second gap between Portuguese and Amadi, with luckiest 3.5 seconds further behind. But if he finished on the podium, I think he'll be proper happy with that nonetheless, especially after the sprint. But well deserved, and get himself his first podium of the season. Portuguese, this will be his first race win actually. It's been pushing for the last few races, but showing some great speed this week at the Temple of Speed. Callum Ray P5 is where he started. Will we see him close the gap on Brutus? Will Brutus' tyres just fade off and near the end? Dan Morris currently running P6 and leading the way in the Elite Championship. Can he make his tyres last for another 9 laps? I really doubt it. It's Adam getting past Linazukan with DRS. Adam putting his foot to the floor. No holds barred as Michael and Jackson changing positions again. As that Michael's actually got a good launch out of turn 2. Yellow flag. It's Ted Head. Losing traction around the Parabolica is not where you want to do that. As we see Portuguese get himself a track limits. He needs to get himself a good gap between him and Amadi now. of 3 seconds to maintain that race lead. He's pulling another half second. Adamako and Legend have met each other on track before in seasons begone. Got another yellow flag. I think, was that Clen? Clen round the Lesmos. Round the first one, just gone a bit wide, I think. He's not had a good couple of laps with his pit stop. Callum is closing in on Brutus. 1.6 seconds. Brutus can see a flash of the papaya orange in his mirrors. And needs to manage his tyres to get to the end. It's going to be tricky as Adam is managing the overtake. Let's go around to turn 4 and 5. And Clen's crashed out. I know he's retired in the pits. So had me heart a flutter. I thought a safety car was going to come out. And that's it for the Ferrari driver. As Legend manages to keep himself ahead. DRS is active for Adam. As they can both see Dan Morris ahead. They've dropped Lenazukin in the Williams. Michael has forced himself a bit of breathing space ahead as Lucas is pitting. He's doing a 2-stop. Now, will we see any other do a 2-stop, or will others try the 1-stop? Interesting call from the Alpine driver. Dan Morris goes through. Legend goes through with Adam Mako. Lenazukin is in the pits as well, so Lucas will come out P8 ahead of this battle with Jackson, Capslock and Katz. Michael's gone in as well, so there's 1 or 2 doing the 2-stopper. Not confident that the tyres are going to last. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Dan Morris going as well then. Or will he try and go to the end? Callum now on the back of the Haas. Will we see the Haas pit and do the 2-stopper? Will he try and make his tyres last another 14 laps? Isn't surely not. Although we oh no, Brutus is in, so I think it's going to be a 2-stop for a lot. As Katzok gets himself an unwanted penalty. 4 seconds here now. Portuguese leading the way. Hot Wheels leading the way. As Adamako stalking Legend. Dan Morris does go into the pits as expected. Lucas goes on through just ahead of Brutus. And Lucas is flying, getting himself fastest sector. Brutus coming out just ahead of this battle with Jackson Capslock. Katz has gone in too. Out of that battle with Jackson Capslock. Looking at a potential undercut. Dan Morris will come out ahead of Lenazukin. Exactly where he needed to be. As we see Chief of Fire go through. Chief of Fire probably has to pit as well. I think we'll see the likes of Capslock and Jax both pitting as well. Lucas is back on this train behind Adam and Legend. Adam potentially on a 1-stop, you know. He's only got to do another 5 laps, so this is for position. Lucas will be hard to keep behind, though, on those fresh mediums, side by side with Adam. And up to P5. Can he do a double overtake? He does. Brilliant driving here from Lucas. Just so much better traction and grip with ahead of Legend and Adam. Legend and Adam will follow him through, though, with the DRS. But you'd like to think Lucas has got some mad speed. Can he defend down to turn 1? defends the inside. Lucky is here. Brilliant driving from the Alpine. There's nothing the cars behind can do. Legend's having his battles here with Adam. And defends well out the chicane. Stays P5. Callum's now found himself in the podium positions. These three found themselves on the top in the last couple of races. Will we see them pit though? Oh, I needed that neck lube. Oh, there's some moisture in the gusset. In the gullet. Gusset. What the fuck am I saying? Jeez Louise, Batman. Look, he's already trying to pull that gap away. Oh no, caps lock. Disconnected again. I'll try and get him back in, but he's having a good battle with Jax and Cats. I've invited you back in, caps lock. He's just falling away from Jax now. Hopefully he can get back in. Racky's back in the pit as well. Williams driving on some fresh tyres. He's just thinking about getting some points on the board for his championship. It's usually, or previously, DNF, but knows that a championship's on the line. Catchlock car in the pits now, making the pit stop, which I think he would have done anyway. His car is still goes, and Dan Morris goes on through. 2 seconds behind Chief of Fire on those old hards. Chief of Fire, nice and steady Eddie. As was missing last week. Good to see him back on track, and be some valuable points for the Red Bull team. Switching back on Brutus on those medium tyres. Absolutely flying. And has joined this battle here for P5. So we've got 4 laps to go, including this one. I'd be safe to say that these three at the front are doing a one-stop. Callum, good 7.5 seconds behind the front two. 5 seconds, Amadi behind Portuguese. So Portuguese cut above the rest. And Lucky's going for that 2-stop as Brutus out to P6 ahead of Adamaco. Good battle in the Platinum Championship this. As Brutus taking a look on the inside of Legend as well. But isn't close enough to make the move this lap. Tries to do a switch back on those fresh mediums. And has got good traction out the corner. Dan Morris, easy overtake on. Chief Fire up to P10. As Brutus is going himself ahead of Legend now up to P5 for the Haas. I don't think, wow. I think Luckiest was expecting a potential 2-stop from the guys ahead. Just missing out on that podium. Could he have stayed on those hard tyres till the end? Damo's closing in on his teammate now. Caps like he's back in his car, thankfully. I think he'll be disappointed again after pitting. Well, again pitting him. As it stands in the elite, Jax Daniels will take the win. Dan Morris will take P2. And Chief of Fire will take P3. If he can, he might as well stay. It is. It depends how they're looking after the tyres. I believe it's possible if they do nurse their tyres. And I think potentially, as we see Dan Morris just drifting around the start of Parabolica behind his teammate. I don't think his teammate's going to battle too much as he's reserving for him, and means more points for Dan Morris in his fight in the elite. As the Aston Martin drivers change places, Dan Morris trying to hunt down Jax Daniels. Can he do it on those fresh mediums? 7.5 seconds, it's a big ask. Adamaco's still here with Legend, struggling to overtake the Mercedes. Even with DRS. Brilliant drive, brilliant reserve drive for Legend. Good to see him back on track. Two and a half seconds here, Luckiest has got on Brutus. But we'll keep an eye on Adam, still with DRS, not able to close in on Legend. 6.5 seconds. He's gained a second in a couple of corners here, Dan Morris. And it'd be interesting if Jax gets himself a penalty as well. You can see the grip that Dan Morris has got. A couple of tenths just on the Ascari chicane. And if it's anything like Jax has had, and if you put him on camera, then it's likely he's going to lose control. But like Lennon says, it's a long way to go, 16 laps. We're on the penultimate lap now. So we'll keep an eye on Lennon Zukin looking to make an overtake on Michael. Trying to score some more points as we see. Oh, it isn't. It is! Oh my Christ! Oh my Christ! Coming out of round turn 2, Jax has lost traction. And we've got a hat trick. He's got a damaged wing as well, and he'll be kicking himself. What a numpty. And as Lennon says, these tyres will be wearing thin on these hards. Can Chief of Fire get to the end on them? As Adamaka gets himself a track limits. And what that does do is promotes Dan Morris up to P1 in the elite. Chief of Fire gets past Jax Daniels with DRS and goes up to P2. But will he get to the end? We're on the final lap for the front runners. Adamako needs to get past Legend, both on penalties. So this is for position now on the final lap. He's got DRS, but Legend defending hard. Adamako taking a look, but can't overtake. 7-second gap for Portuguese as he goes right down to Ascari for the final time. And you'd have to say, absolute masterclass here. From starting P10 as well. Michael getting past Jax, so Jax. This has damaged his championship challenge, and this would be good news for Big Raki and Ted Head, both of his closest challengers. And good news for Michael, who'll gain on these drivers ahead as Portuguese, I've missed him, sorry Portuguese, takes his first race win of the season. Amadi, P2, and Callum will come home P3. He'll be happy with that after starting P5. As we see, Adam does make a move finally on Legend. Linazukan getting ahead of Jax Daniels, who's dropping down the order. Luckiest, so close. If he, I don't know if he could. He could have stayed. 17 laps Callum's done on the hards. Luckiest will come home P4, just ahead of Brutus P5. Adamaka will come home P6. Making that final lap move on Legend. Brilliant debut race for Legend. Dan Morris will come home P8 and P1 in the Elite Championship. And his teammate for today, Benji, P9. Chief of Fire will come home, actually P9 behind Dan Morris, and P2 in the Elite. Michael will come home P3. Jax Daniels jumping on penalties up to P12. He'll be kicking himself. I'm laughing. Linazukan will come home P13. Amadi says it's the worst track to drive. It's so boring. By the sound of it, Baraki got a puncture. That's what dropped him down. But Portuguese takes the win in Monza and gets the fastest lap as well. Extra point on the board for him. Driver of the day is given to Michael, but it's decided by the drivers, of course, and most overtakes to Katz. No surprise there from our performance champion. And let's get to the results here. So Portuguese taking the race win and the fast lap with a 20.112. Dan Morris, you did win the Elite Drivers. Congratulations, my man. Amadi takes P2 and Callum takes P3. Lucky is taking P4. Could have had that podium. Brutus P5. He'll be chuffed out from P15. Adamako P6. P7 for Legend. Great battle between those two. Dan Morris P8 and the Elite Elite P1. And from P18 as well. Wow, wow, we were. Chief of 5, P9, and from 14. Damn, Benji, P10. I'm going to just scoop down this order. I'm going to run out of time. But brilliant driving from all. Monza is always a tricky one, especially in those chicanes. But we had some brilliant action. And as Dee says in the chat, Portuguese was in a league of his own. And we're almost halfway through. It's a 13-race season, and we've done 6. Next week, race 7, we head to Silverstone, the home of motorsport, one of the drivers' favourites, and we're going to see some plenty of action. I'm 100% sure of that. We always see that at Silverstone. That is Div 1. We head over straight to Div 2 at around 9 p.m. UK in about 10 minutes' time. My name's Alex. See you in a bit. Lights Out League Racing. Thank you for joining us. Peace out.